So grade 12, we are now going to turn our attention to the section view, which must be drawn to a scale of 1:20. And that's very important to keep in mind that your section will be to a scale of 1:20. I am going to give you some sort of assistance in terms of what you need to draw, as well as all sorts of dimensions which you can use. A lot of the dimensions will be left up to you to decide, obviously with your experience of civil drawings which you've done previously. So let us see how this drawing is going to unfold. So basically what I need to take you through is that is the cutting line there. And if you look at the rubric makes specific mention of a few important sections which you need to cover. So you need to cover the sections correct according to the cutting plane indicated on here. And then of course you need to go through the foundation, the slab and the wall detail. And then of course you need to go 1.5 meter section, which is this part here, into the timber deck, where the timber deck is connected to the outside wall. You need to go through your stacking doors, and this is the area where it goes through your stacking doors. And you must have a cut through the window, which is over there. Then of course you need to show the entire roof detail, showing the side of the roof and sections of the roof above the stacking doors as well. And the sections of the roof above the stacking doors and the window. Then you need to have all your labels and your notes, and then the detailed dimensioning of it, as well as your hatching must be included in your drawing as well. And just keep in mind your scale is 1:20. So if I walk myself through this building, I'm going to draw the cut section here through that window. Now keep in mind that that's the apex of the roof, and the roof runs down like that until you get to the fascia board here, and then the same roof decline will be on this side. So I'm going to stand here first, and I'm going to view from here until that point, and that's the part I'm going to take out, and I'm going to draw that part right here. And then on this corner there's going to be a separation line, basically, where I'm going to put that continuation symbol in there, meaning that it continues further. But I only need to cover it up until that point, which is from there to there. So you literally have to measure this point from there to there, and then multiply that by 2.5. And I want to repeat that you have to measure this literally here, and whatever you find here, you are going to times by 2.5. And that will give you 100 from this line until there, which basically means it will be the end of the window that you will see there, or the end of the wall. In a similar fashion, you are going to measure from here till there, and you are going to take that dimension and times it by 2.5 as well, and you will find the distance to a scale of 1:20 until that point there. So your deck will be included against the wall of the building in this section over here. Alright, I'm going to sketch it for you very quickly, and then we're going to move to the formal drawing of the section view. Just keep in mind that this will be on one single A3 page because of the scale and the size of it. So when you have your marking of 100 there, you're obviously going to make sure that the wall ends right here. That's where the wall is going to end, the 100 from that point to that point. Which basically means that you need to get your concrete perfectly underneath here, so that the outside wall is basically even with the inside wall in comparison with the concrete base. So your wall is going to be 10 millimeters wide, and that's according to the scale of 1:20. Your concrete slab is going to be perfectly underneath your wall, where the wall is center. So that means from here to here it's going to be 30. So the center is going to be 15 that side and 15 this side, and then of course 5 here and 5 there to cause the balance of that being in the middle of the concrete. You will then create your own natural ground level line, which is going to be here, and you can keep it any distance away from the concrete. I am going to keep it to a dimension of 20 from the top of the concrete until that line over there, which is my natural ground level, NGL. And then on top of that, I'm going to have my compacted hardcore, which I'm going to make 10 millimeters there. And I'm going to write it in so that you can see. So this is 20 from there to there and 10. And then that goes in halfway. On top of that, I will have a 5 millimeter concrete slab. Now these are all scaled down already for you to use to make it easy for you to draw. Then you don't need to calculate it. Please ensure that you have your damp-proof coarse line there. On top of my concrete slab, I'm going to have a thin 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter screed, which is my topping, and from that would appear my finished floor level. From my finished floor level, I am going to measure from this point up 200, and that's going to be 200 there, and that's where I'm going to finish off my wall. Just keep in mind, that is the finish of my wall. My wall plate is going to be perfectly on the edge, on the inside of my wall there, which I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to measure from here again until I get to 150 millimeters, which is going to be my height of my window, which I'm going to cut through. And then on top of that 4 millimeters, and I'm going to divide that in half, and that is my lintels, which I have there. My window, I have a drop of any distance which you prefer. This being the window of the coffee shop, I can propose that you have a drop of 50 millimeters. So I'm going to use 50 millimeters. There I'm going to create my inside window sill, which is going to be here. And then from the middle, I'm going to have a 30-degree line running like that, which is going to be my outside window sill. So that's going to be 30 degrees, and I'm going to create that little right angle there where my window sill will be embedded on. I can add my 2 lines for my window frame, and then I can use my knowledge of hatching, which I'm going to do for my concrete. Remember, it's little dots and triangles, and the same here for my lintels as well as for my concrete slab, little triangles that I have there. I will have this angle line for my compacted hardcore and my 45-degree lines like that for my soil of earth, like that there. So you're familiar with these. And then of course I'm going to have my common brick, 2 lines gap, 2 lines gap, 2 lines gap, 2 lines gap, like that there. I am going to bring across my ceiling line, which is that line there. And remember, there will be branding which will appear here, and you can keep that evenly apart, preferably 20 millimeters apart, and I'm going to write in there 20. Remember, that is my ceiling board that I have there. That is my wall plate. These are my branding evenly spaced apart, and the hatching is across for my hood. While you're viewing this from this side, you're also going to find that there is another wall that appears in the backdrop, and that wall must be indicated. So basically you can measure from here to there for that wall. So whatever you measure here, you times it by 2.5, and that's going to give you the distance here. And the inside wall is half of the outside wall, which is 5. So I'm going to draw a line here for my inside wall, and another 5 millimeters, which will appear there, which will indicate my inside wall. And that wall will also be hatched in the common brick hatching. I'm going to turn my attention to the roof here, and I want to zoom in a little bit so that we can see the detail. So I'm going to start by drawing a line from here, 30 degrees that way, until it bounces against this line, which is my continuation line. And then I'm going to extend that line a little further, but remember it must go through that point over there. I'm going to have 6 millimeters on top here to form my rafter, and I'm going to measure 6 millimeters on top of this line here to form my tie beam. So I have this truss which I'm going to draw now. Just keep in mind that this is in fact 30 degrees, and I can draw that with a 30 degree set square from this point over here. I am going to look at my overhang. My overhang here is 3 millimeters, and if you take 3 millimeters and you times it by 2.5, you are going to get your overhang, which is going to be 7.5, but we can round it off to 8, so you're going to measure 8 right there. Okay. So that's going to be 6, and that's going to be 6, and remember this is 2. On top of this rafter here, you're going to measure 4 millimeters up and 4 millimeters, and you're going to draw that line there, which is now becoming your roof sheeting, and you're going to add some width to it, so there's going to be another 2 millimeters on top here, which you're going to draw, and that forms my sheeting. In between here, starting at this particular overhang point here, you're going to draw 3 millimeters apart, 2 lines, which will form your purlines. And you can have that any distance away, preferably 60 millimeters center to center, and another 60 for that one over there. You will then add your fascia board here, which is 2 millimeters by 10, thin part 2 and the longer part 10. You will add your gutter, which is going to be 5 and 5, the sides, and 8, this bottom part here. And then you are going to do your downpipe, which is going to run like that alongside the wall, and it's going to have a footing here at the bottom, which you're going to put in. And I want to show you that this downpipe is going to be 4 millimeters in thickness. Just keep that in mind when you are going to draw.
you.